Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining us today. We want to continue where we left off yesterday with the Sapta Rishis. We were talking about the general principles of who these Sapta Rishis are, how they appear in every Manvantara. They live for 308 million years. And this is a little idea of where they actually live. They live below Dhruvalok. And it's like the Big Dipper. They call it the Big Dipper. And it's a series of 7 stars, in fact 8. But the 7 Saptarishis, the 7 great sages, these are their stars. And there's another 8th one, actually, also. 8th star is called Arundhati, and that is because she is the wife of Vashishta, and she's very, very important personality. So we'll cover her as well at some point. Anyway, today we wanted to talk about the first of the Saptarishis. They're not in any particular order, but I've just taken it as alphabetical. So Atri Rishi. He's one of the Saptarishis. He's one of the 7 mind-born Manasaputra sons of Lord Brahma in the present Manvantara. So this Manvantara is Vaivasvata Manvantara, and he's one of the Saptarishis in this Manvantara. In every Manvantara, these Saptarishis will likely to change. So we know the names of the 7 Manvantara Saptarishis in this Manvantara. He was born from Brahma's eyes. He's married to Anasuya, the daughter of Kardam Prajapati, Kardamuni. Brahma Rishi Atri is the seer in the 5th mandal of the Rig Veda. So he was expert in the Rig Vedas, especially this 5th mandal. Also known as a devourer, Atri Rishi is an embodiment of the power of detachment. He was so detached. When the Lord appeared in his own home, he was the father of Kapil, and Devahuti was the, oh no, hang on, sorry. No, sorry, this is the wrong one, yeah. That's, no, that's Kardamuni, that's right, that's a different one. So Atri Rishi is the embodiment of the power of detachment. Considered to be one of the great discoverers of sacred mantra, Atri Maharishi's family line has had several other great sages and munis, including Shavashva, Avishtir, Purvatiti, Mudgala, Udalaki, Shakalayani, and Chanda Yogya. Don't recognize any of those names. Just imagine the number of sages and great souls there are. We don't even have a clue about them. When the sons of Lord Brahma were destroyed by Lord Shiva's curse, Atri was born again from the flames of Brahma's sacrificial fire. So this is his second birth. In both manifestations, his wife was Anasuya. They had 3 sons, Datta, Durvasa, and Soma in the first life, and a son named Aryanam and a daughter Amala in the second. So we're going to look at a little bit more detail about his 3 sons in a little while. Atri Rishi is mentioned in several places in the Mahabharata, particularly in the battlefield pastime wherein Dronacharya fought on mercilessly in streams of blood and carnage after Bhishma's fall. Sage Atri became very concerned that if Drona continued in his frenzy, he would cause misery and human destruction beyond all proportion. So we saw how yesterday the Saptari, one of the roles is to keep a balance in human society. They direct or guide human society. They protect human society. So Dronacharya was one of the most fiercest warriors, and he was tearing into the army of the Kauravas, of the Pandavas. And what happened? Atri, along with his associate Rishi Gautam, they would always be together, came onto the battlefield with 5 of their companions. So these Sapta Rishis, their role is quite a massive role. They're more than just knowers of the Vedas. They were actually peacemakers as well, to a certain degree. This was at a time that Sri Krishna said that Ashwatthama had been killed, hoping to discourage Drona from fighting any longer. Sage Atri approached him and in great kindness encouraged him to step back and cease fighting, returning his focus instead to the pursuit of Sanatana Dharma. So even great personalities in this material world can be diverted from the real goal of life. Very easy to do because Maya is so strong. So Dronacharya, in his role as commander of the Kauravas, was fulfilling that role, the duty of that role. And he was fighting, of course, he was fighting for the wrong side because Duryodhana was not a nice person. Yet that had been forgotten by Dronacharya. And he'd also forgotten that his duty is to become self-realized. He was self-realized to a certain degree, but when he was engaged in the war, in the fighting, he'd lost identity of his real self. He identified with the Kauravas, identified with his own family. When he heard Ashwatthama had died, he became very discouraged. And he approached Yudhishthira to ask him, is this true? Has my son really died? And Yudhishthira said, yes, the elephant Ashwatthama is dead. The Dronacharya didn't hear the elephant bit. He heard Ashwatthama is dead. At that time, Sage Atri came and he relieved him of the unhappiness of losing his son. And he encouraged him. Now is the time for you to focus on the Supreme. This is the goal of life. Give up the battle, give up your weapons, give up your attachment to family and friends and the kingdom, and etc., etc., etc. And he did. To his credit, Dronacharya sat. The Rishi's advice caused Dronacharya to end his killing rage. Sitting down on the battlefield, he began to meditate on the Lord, closing his eyes and never opening them again until he left his body. Atri Rishi's kindness is credited with saving him. So this is a very powerful sage, Atri Rishi. A pastime from the Bhagavad Puran relates how the Trimurti, Lord Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva, came to test Atri Rishi's wife, Anasuya. The deities came to test her because she was well known for the embodiment of chastity. And I think actually we probably also in the next slide, we got similar sort of comments again. I believe it was Indra who became somewhat jealous of Atri and Anasuya's tapasya and her chastity. And he approached Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva and he said, please help me. Please test Anasuya. Take away her chastity. So one day the Trimurti personalities came to the ashram of Atri Rishi in the guise of Brahmins. And they told Anasuya they would like to be fed. And Anasuya, she was very kind-hearted. She said immediately, yes, of course. Whenever Brahmins come to your home, especially if they want something from you, you open your heart, you open your home to them. But they laid down a condition. You'd have to be naked to serve us, thus breaking her chastity. Now she was in a little bit of a tricky situation. But without any hesitation, the Rishi's chaste wife agreed to this condition. She set about arranging nice foodstuffs and then employing her pativrata shakti. She was devoted to her pati, and her vrit was very powerful, gave her a lot of shakti. And she turned the 3 Brahmins into children, into babies. She then proceeded in unclothed decorum to serve her guests. So she didn't break her chastity because she was now serving children. And being very pleased with Anasuya, the three Murti deities requested her to return to her normal form and lift the Shakti so that they might return to their own. She did so, and they blessed her and Atri Rishi to have three sons, Dattatreya, Chandraratri, and Krishnatri. So these are actually expansions of Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. These three sons are actually Trimurti's expansions. So this is the pastime where she's feeding the Trimurti. So we just repeat that again because it's such a phenomenal pastime. The fame, glory, and chastity of Satyanasuya spread across the universe. Thus Indradev felt unsafe. So his position is not eternal. So he doesn't feel happy because he's always challenged somehow or other. And he requested the three Dev, Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma, to break her chastity. Thus, three Dev took the form of beggars or Brahmins and came to Atri and Ansuya's hut and requested for food. Atri was not in the ashram. Thus, she requested for them to wait. But Tridev did not wait and made an unusual request. She serves the food to them disrobed. Sati had trust, Anusuya had trust on sage Atri and her spiritual strength, the spiritual strength of her husband. So she did as requested, came in front of Tridev. When she came in front of Tridev, they converted into three children. After some time, sage Atri came back to the ashram and saw Anasuya with three children. The sage realized that they were not children, but Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. Then Tridev presented themselves in their real form and asked Anasuya for a boon. Thus Anasuya requested them as actual sons. After some time, three sons were born to Atri and Anasuya, Dattatreya, Chandra, and Durvasa. When Dattatreya is Vishnu, Chandra is Brahma, and Durvasa is Lord Shiva. So we know these pastimes. Durvasa Muni is a really extraordinary Muni. He, a little bit like Lord Shiva, can be pleased very easily, but also angered very quickly. So there's many, many pastimes in the Bhagavatam about Durvasa Muni's activities. And one of them is a fascinating activity, fascinating pastime, which shows that the devotee of the Lord is more powerful than any Muni, any Brahmrishi, any Saptarishi. The devotee is more powerful at all times. What happened was Ambarish Maharaj, he had been fasting. He was a king, he was a ruler, he was a Kshatriya. But above all, he was a devotee of the Lord Vishnu. He'd been fasting for a full year. Durvasa Muni came to his kingdom and the king welcomed Durvasa Muni and requested him to stay for prasad. And Durvasa Muni said, yes, I will do that. But first, me and my disciples will have a bathe in the Ganga. Ambarish didn't oppose, didn't say no. He said, yes, that's fine. But he realized the time for my fast to be finished is fast approaching. It's fast approaching. Now, he was in a bit of a fix, because if he didn't finish his fast, he would have lost the benefit of the fast. But if he ate something, he would have been disrespecting Durvasa Muni. What to do? He asked the Brahmins, what shall I do? I don't know what to do. So the Brahmins advised him, drink some water. By drinking water, you will finish your fast. But at the same time, you have not eaten. So you are respecting Durvasa. So Ambarish Maharaj, he drank that water on the advice of the Brahmins. Now the Brahman, Durvasa Muni came back. He realized, Ambarish, you have disrespected me, you have drunk water. He became very angry. He plucked out some hair, threw it on the ground. A huge demon came out of the ground, and Durvasa Muni told him, ordered him, kill Ambarish. Whew. For such a small offense, not even an offense. So what happened? Now, this is where the power of the devotee is. Because he is simply surrendered unto the Lord. Durvasa felt no fright. He was not scared at all. He simply took shelter of the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord came in the form of Sudarshan Chakra, killed the demon, and he went after Durvasa. The chakra went after Durvasa, and Durvasa felt the heat. Durvasa ran. He ran up to Lord Brahma's planet, and he said to Lord Brahma, help me. Sudarshan is after me. Brahma said, I can't do anything. This is Vishnu's power. He went to the planet of Lord Shiva in Kailash. Shiva said to him, please leave. I don't want any mischief taking place here by your friend Sudarshan. He went to Vishnu. Durvasa was powerful. He could enter the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. He went to Vishnu. Please protect me. Your Sudarshan is after me. Even Vishnu said, I'm powerless. Can't do a thing. What do you mean? This is your Sudarshan. He's after me. Can't do anything. You have to go back to Ambarish and apologize to Ambarish. Then my Sudarshan will become pacified. Durvasa immediately went to Ambarish and apologized. I'm so sorry, I made a mistake. And Ambarish said, you're sorry for what? You've made no offense to me. And he prayed to Sudarshan, if I have done any bhakti, please leave Durvasa alone. This is why the devotee is supreme to anybody and everybody. So we don't aspire to become munis or Sapta Rishis or Brahma Rishis or Mahamunis or whatever munis there are. We simply want to become humble devotees of Lord Krishna. That is our goal, pleasing the Lord by becoming his devotee. But it's good to know these great sages do exist and do things for us, and they are very powerful. We can get their blessings to progress on our path of Krishna consciousness. So in that way, Sudarshan became pacified and left Durvasa alone. And Durvasa realized, you are a great devotee, Ambarish, of the Lord. And he offered his humble obeisances. Lord Ram visited Atri Maharishi's ashram during his long years of exile. So when Ramachandra was in exile, he spent time with not just Atri Rishi, but Anushuya as well. Atri and Anushuya. Anushuya is also a very powerful devotee of the Lord. It was Atri Rishi who, after offering his great hospitality, showed Ram the way to Dandakaranya forest. So this is a nice picture of Atri and Anushuya Mataji with Sita, Ram, and Lakshmana. So that's Atri Rishi. I wanted to stop there. Any questions, any comments on Atri Rishi? Atri Rishi ki jai.